All right, ladies and gentlemen, that closes the break that we just had. We are going to start. If I can have somebody run out and figure out the count for registered citizens, that would be great. If I could now ask our knowledge keeper, Norma Spicer, to come up and start the business meeting off with an opening prayer.
Please join me in prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Loving God, we welcome you among us today as we gather to conduct this annual general meeting of our Métis Nation of Alberta. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities as Métis citizens. We ask for your blessings and that you would give us great wisdom, great vision, and enthusiasm as we engage in the discussions that will shape our collective future. May our discussions also be marked by grace, patience, and a spirit of collaboration. May we be guided by your Holy Spirit. Open our ears so that we may hear your voice. Open our minds so that we may receive your eternal wisdom. And open our spirits so that we know you are leading and guiding us. Open our hearts so that we may receive your love. Bring us peace where there are concerns or worries. Bring us hope where there is disillusionment. May our efforts yield fruitful outcomes and contribute to the growth and prosperity of our nation. And may we emerge from this meeting with a clear sense of direction and purpose as we adopt to our new governance structure while staying true to our Métis values and traditions. We offer this prayer in humility and gratitude for all that you do for our people. Let us place our trust in you now and forever. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
All right. Thank you very much for that prayer, Norma. I would like to now call our meeting to order. It is 11:22. A long ways from 9 o'clock, but I guess that's okay. We had a wonderful opening ceremonies. So if we can just give a moment or so for everybody to find a seat. And our first business of order is to establish a quorum. And I've just been informed by Ron Harrison, who looks after that year after year after year for us, Ron. And we have 620 people registered, so we certainly have quorum. And now my next role is to call for an election of a chair. So I would like to open the floor for nominations for chair. Is someone managing the mics? Colin, are you managing the mic? Okay. Mic number 2, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Carol Ridsdale, I'd like to nominate Lionel Chartrand as the chair for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. So we have a nomination for Lionel Chartrand for chair. Do we have a seconder?
Walter Andreeff, Region 5. I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Walter. Okay, any more nominations? Go ahead, number 2.
Melanie Omenhio, I would like to nominate Jarrett Tomlinson to be the chair. He's been a leader in the Métis Nation in helping us build our Ottapimswet government. And as he said earlier, he's been trained by Bruce. I think he'd be an amazing chairperson.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. We got a motion for Garrett Tomlinson. Do we have a seconder? Do we have a seconder for Garrett? Garrett Tomlinson has been nominated. Do we have a seconder?
Dan Cardinal, Region 4. I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much, Dan. Okay, we have a mover, we have a seconder. Do we have any more nominations? Do we have any more nominations? For the third and last time, do we have any more nominations? Okay, I need a motion for nominations to cease. Can I have someone move that we cease nominations? Oh, I didn't even look at that mic over there. Mic number 1? You need to record for
Jason
the...
Eckberg, I'd like to make the motion for nominations to cease.
Thank you, Jason. Do we have a seconder? Do we have a seconder?
Walter Andrew, Region 5, I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Walter. All in favor of the motion to cease nominations? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Lionel Chartrand, you'll have to go to the mic, and do you accept that nomination?
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lionel. Okay, Garrett Tomlinson, do you accept the nomination? Where are you, Garrett? Garrett?
Madam President, respectfully, given that I have a resolution on the floor this morning, I have to decline for this year.
Okay, Garrett has declined, so our chair is Lionel Chartrand. Lionel, thank you. And now I would like to open nominations for vice chair. Number 3?
Andrea Sandmeyer, Region 2. I'd like to nominate Brian Fayant for Vice Chair.
Okay, we have Brian Fayant nominated for vice chair. Can we have a seconder?
Rick Boucher, Region 1, I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much, Rick. Okay, we have a mover. We have a seconder for Brian Fayant for vice chair. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Okay, for the last time, do we have any other nominations? Okay, can I have a motion to cease nominations?
Garrett Tomlinson, Region 6, so moved. Thank
you, Garrett. Do we have a seconder? Seconder to cease nomination. You have to go to the mic because it has to get recorded. Sorry.
Pat Aker, Region 3.
Thank you very much, Pat. Okay, so we have a mover, we have a seconder, all in favor of the motion to cease nominations. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Brian Fayant, where are you in the room? Brian? Where is he? There he is. Brian, do you accept?
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Okay. I was going to say, oh, no, he's not here. But okay, that finishes my job. So we just need the chair and the vice chair to make their way up to the stage here, and they will take over.
Good morning, elders, dignitaries, honored guests, and members. Welcome to the 95th Annual General Assembly of the Métis Nation of Alberta. I thank everyone for giving me the honor to chair this meeting, and welcome my co-chair, Brian Fayant. So there is an agenda before you. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of Sergeant at Arms. Do we have a mover to appoint a Sergeant of Arms? And when you come up to make a motion or second, please state your name and the region that you're from. Mic number 2.
Shane Blind, Zone 4. We're kind of wondering outside if we're not going to get a mic or not. We were told we were denied a mic outside. There's no room inside this. Oh, there will be a mic? Okay, thank you. All right.
Do we have a mover for Sergeant at Arms? Microphone 3.
Donna Sinclair Gullion, Region 5. I nominate Alec Coutre for Sergeant at Arms.
Do we have a seconder for that nomination?
I second that. Region 4, Yvette Gray Eyes.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Final call for any other nominations for Sergeant at Arms? Can we have a motion to cease nominations?
Shane Combs, Region 5. I cease the nominations. Make a motion.
Do we have a seconder for that motion to cease nominations? Mike 3.
Paul Bercier, Region 3. I second that nomination. The motion.
Okay. A motion to cease nominations. We have a mover and a seconder. Those in favor, please raise your hand with the yellow ribbon. Okay. Those opposed? No one opposed. I declare the motion carried. Nominations are ceased. And I declare Alex Coutre appointed by acclamation as Sergeant of Arms. Mr. Coutre, do you accept the nomination? The appointment?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay, before we proceed, just some housekeeping matters. When you want to speak to a matter, use one of the microphones. For elders, we have someone on the floor with a roaming mic. So if you can just indicate if you wish to speak, and we can have the mic brought to you. Anyone speaking, please state your name and what the region that you're from. We're looking at a 3-minute guideline for someone speaking, and also we can only have people speak twice to a matter before moving on, in fairness to allow everyone a chance to speak to matters. Mr. Vice Chair, do you have any other The recording secretary is Joanne Gunville. And where are they?
So that'd be the exit door. All of those are exit doors.
Yeah. As a safety item, please take note of where the exit doors are, just in the event of any safety issues, fires. And anyone needing the washroom, there's washrooms as you're facing the stage up here on your left, just to the right of the big screen. With that, next item is adoption of the agenda. You have the agenda before you in printed format. Do we have a mover? Microphone number 2.
We're having a tough time to hear you. Can you just speak up a little bit or turn them up or something? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Okay. Do we have a mover for adoption of the agenda? Microphone 3.
Pat Aker, Region 3. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
This is Paul Bercier, Region 3. I have a motion that I'd like to introduce, that we move that the special resolution be moved on the agenda before the Treasury report. Due to the significance and importance of our movement of the self-governance agreement.
Do we have a seconder for the suggestion of moving up the special resolution?
Violet LaPrat, Region 2. I'm second the motion to move the special resolution up before the Treasurer's report.
Microphone 3.
Good morning, Karen Collins, Region 2. I'm kind of in favor of what they're suggesting. However, I just would like a bit of clarification. Is the intent to just deal with the special resolution, or and where I'm going with this is the ordinary resolutions? Will that remain on the agenda for the end of the program? Because I noticed there's no ordinary resolutions on the agenda. However, that's the opportunity for this assembly to give direction. And so perhaps I'm suggesting a couple of things. There should be a space on our agenda to address ordinary resolutions. And secondly, is the clarification piece with respect to the special resolution. If that's the only piece that they're suggesting, I'm speaking in favor of the motion. If it is assumed that ordinary resolutions are going to be part of that particular, then maybe it's a little bit different.
Ms. Collins, I can address that. There already is on the agenda ordinary resolutions, so there's already a spot for that. And the motion was not to replace the agenda with only the special resolution, but rather the motion was to simply move it up in the order that things are dealt with to happen prior to the Treasurer's report instead of after the Treasurer's report. So can we have a vote on the amendment? Those in favor of the amendment as presented, please raise your hand.
It's Paul Bercier got up an amendment that moved something up.
Okay, let's pause this for the moment. I think there's someone at mic 1, is there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian Hamlin, Region 3. Just for the benefit of the delegates, could you please point out which agenda we'll be using? Is it page 7, this thick booklet?
Yes, it is. Yes,
and could you please repeat the amendment to the agenda?
Yes, I confirm that the agenda is as printed on page 7, entitled Business Agenda on the Annual Report 22-23. It's the thick document that's approximately 160 pages long. Annual Report 2022-23. And the motion to amend the agenda is to bring forward the special resolution to be heard prior to the Treasurer's report. So again, if you can raise your hands, please, those in favor of the amendment. All right. Those opposed to the amendment? Okay, there's approximately 10 opposed, and there were approximately, I'd say, about 60 in favor. So I declare the motion carried to on the agenda as presented with the special resolution to be heard prior to the Treasurer's report. You don't think they got it? You don't think that she didn't say her last name. Okay. Can we, the person who seconded the motion, the original motion, can you come forward and state your full name for the recording secretary, please?
Violet LaPrat, Region 2.
Thank you. The next item is the resolution committee. For formality, we have the amended agenda. Can we have microphone 2?
Point of correction, Mr. Chairman. The people out here are complaining that they didn't hear the amendment and they're not in favor in a lot of the stuff that are happening here. We got to hear what's going on, and I believe we have to have a fair chance to have exactly understand what we're doing with the amendment, because we should hear the reports first before we move up any special resolutions, because we got to get the committees to understand it and read it. So please, let's do things right today. Aye.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I too never got a chance to debate the Constitution. I came here to listen to the Métis Nation make a report before I pass anything. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is our meeting, not our leaders. Today, the leaders don't have any leadership. We are leading ourselves today, folks. If we agree to this resolution that they're trying to pass here, what's going to happen is, what's the purpose of the reports? Throw them in the ditch. We have to hear the reports first and the Constitution, leave it as it is, and with time we should be able to deal with that resolution. I don't agree with it. Neither people should be trying to close the gate and when after the cows get out. You have to do this now while we can to debate the issue of what we're going to be faced with in that resolution. I'm asking you people not to change the Constitution. Let's deal with our reports first. It's important. We're dealing with a Constitution, folks.
Thank you for your comments. We will, to respond to the previous speakers' concerns that some people in the back weren't able to hear what the amendment were, I'll go over that. So just to recap, the proposed agenda, which was proposed to be amended, is found on page 7 of the 160-page report, page 7. That is the agenda. Now, what the amendment was is to move up one item on the agenda to be heard earlier, and that's under resolutions, special resolutions. So that item, it was moved and passed to have it heard under the report of officers immediately prior to the treasurer's report. So that's what the amendment was, and we will be giving full opportunity for people to debate that. That is part of the process, and there'll be plenty of time to do that. So at this time, let's deal with finalizing the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the order of the agenda or adoption of the agenda? Microphone 3.
Hi, Brenda Burke Stratachuk, Region 1. I also would like to discuss that and maybe perhaps ask to have that motion rescinded, only because if you change the order and you deal with the financials, maybe someone would want to know what the financials of the province are. And in particular, if you don't know what the financials of the regions are, then you're asking someone in the resolution to transition to have their locals transition. And some locals may have very big assets, so perhaps they want to know what the financial state is of the province, and let alone the province, the regions, maybe they haven't had financials there either. So I think changing the order is not advantageous at this time. Thank you.
Any other speakers on the agenda and the order?
Yes. Hello, this is Victoria Norris from Region 3. I'm standing outside, that's why you can't see me. I would like to recommend that we stick with the original agenda. The reports are important. The writers have put slaved time, effort, and energy for information for our benefit. I came not knowing a lot about all the changes that are coming up, and I would like it if we could please take the time. Let's slow down so that I understand. And if I'm having a hard time understanding everything, I'm sure there are others like me that would appreciate the order being followed so that we feel more knowledgeable and make informed choices when the special resolutions arise. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Microphone 3, please.
Shane Combs, Region 5. The special resolution has to do with moving the locals forward into the new government and has nothing to do with the financials. So it's just putting the power into the locals or moving the locals forward into the new self-government.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to the agenda? Microphone 1.
Jim Cardinal, President, Region 1. I speak against moving up anything. I believe the reason why we had put it there originally, because somebody had already seen it. That's a fitting way of doing things right. And let's keep doing things right. Let's work what we have to do today. Let's do it right. Let's slow things down, and let's get the reports. There's a reason why this was done. Moyo stohu makapes paikuta. Pia te kiwao mamtanehtamok. Eugoma kawis haputaya. Kaise makigon makigo ka piksquatama. Maga piksquate tan kiwai utagagi pestachik tante sunya pesu apatsit. Eugo ponigan kaksketama pamos ka saputayoma. Kawituta ke uma special resolution kaitami. Piatek nagatim. Mamtane ta pamwes kopiek. Eugo niandehten tun papiate pugatos kea kamiututatuya. Kia no ma. This is our government. Let's do it right. Hi hi.
Anyone else wish to speak to the agenda?
She was calling her husband. I'm going over there.
Yeah, and there's no motion to rescind, I know. Yeah, that's why I'm just letting people speak to it, right? Because there's going to be protests. They think I'm railroading it already. Yeah, let them speak, right? Nobody's...
Esther Auger, Region 5. I think everybody has a right what they want to say, if they want anything changed. Like, if we are the citizens and the citizens got up to the mic to say they want something changed, and this special resolution has nothing to do with finances. If anybody read the resolution, if you didn't, read it. Read the stuff. Don't ask anybody to read it for you. Read it yourself and how you understand it. I'll tell you a story. I was in university, and this one gal wrote her paper, and we copied how she wrote it. We all got a D. This is a true story. But anyway, with the agenda, I think somebody wants to change, wants to get the special resolution out of the way. And read it, please read it now, and then let's get it out of the way, and then we'll get back into business. Because if we're going to argue about this agenda, we're going to be sitting here through lunch hour. And please read. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. And as chair, I have to, to state that I think let's try to work through these things efficiently. Like the speaker said, we don't want to get stuck on one issue and on how to deal with things. Now, we had a motion that passed by quite a margin to move up the special resolution. There were about 3 people who spoke against it and suggested that we should rescind it, but there's no motion to actually rescind it. So right now we're looking at a motion to simply adopt the agenda as presented, either that or a motion to rescind. So I'm going to invite anyone who wishes to either move to adopt the agenda as amended or to rescind the motion that called for a different order. Microphone 2, please. Microphone 2.
Jeff Salpo, Zone 5. Just a point of clarification, Chair. We established quorum this morning of 600 people present. The vote that was passed to amend the motion was around 60, which is less than, about 10%. I'm just wondering if you make a ruling, Mr. Chairman, is the resolutions that are, or the motions that are being presented, do they require 50% plus 1 of the people present here, which would amount to about 300 and some people to vote in favor of that resolution? I just want some clarity.
No, they don't. It's just of those who cast a vote. So, we need 50% of those who actually cast a vote. So if only 70 people cast a vote and it's 60 to 10, then it passes. Microphone 3.
Good morning. My name is Bev New, Region 5. I'm like many people in the room. We didn't really hear the discussion. I was actually treasurer of Métis Nation for about 17 years. And I know the Constitution is very important for all of us here today. I know we need a government. I think we all know that. But one thing, and I'll speak on behalf of myself. I know when we get into the discussion of the Constitution, it's going to be very, very important. And there's people in this room who don't even know what the first reading was, or what was the second reading, and what does the third reading actually mean. So, Mr. Chair, I guess I'm of the same opinion. If you're looking for a motion to rescind the agenda to go back to the way it is, I will make that motion, and it's up to this room if that's what they want to do. So as Bev New, I move to rescind that motion to change the agenda.
Do we have a seconder to rescind the motion to amend the agenda?
Yes,
Jim
Victoria
Cardinal.
Norris from Region 3.
I
I second
second.
that motion.
I'm sorry, microphone 1, Jim Cardinal, you're seconding it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have a seconder. Anyone wish to speak to the motion to rescind the prior motion or not? Okay, last call. If anyone wants to speak to that, then we'll have a vote. Okay, no one coming forward. Those in favor of rescinding the motion to amend the agenda, please raise your hand. And keep it. I'll do a little rough count here. Okay, those in favor to rescind the prior motion to amend the agenda, please raise your hand. In other words, this would be voting for going with the original agenda on page 7. This is what it would be for, just to go back to the original one.
He needs to explain. Mr. Chair, point of order. Can you please explain? I think what, if I'm hearing right, you're asking the same question to us to vote the same yes or no. What I'm trying to say here is The resolution is just to change the agenda back to the way it was. That's all the resolution is. And if the people are in favor of our original agenda, then can we raise our hands?
Yeah,
If we're not,
that's what I said.
but that's not how we
That's what
understood
I
it,
said.
sorry.
Okay, now so I had a rough count here for those in favor. Those against this motion, please raise your hand. So this, again, this is the motion to rescind the prior motion to amend the agenda. Those opposed to rescind it. Okay, so I would declare the motion carried by quite a wide margin. I would say about 70 to 8, roughly. So it's not a close margin to have a people actually count the hands. So I declare the motion carried. So we're now left with the agenda as presented on page 5, and I'd like to invite someone to come forward to move that the business agenda found on page 7 be adopted.
Mike one.
I move to, sorry.
Brian
Microphone,
Hamlin, Region 3, I move we accept the agenda as posted.
Bev New, Region 5, I second the motion.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder for the motion to adopt the agenda as presented on page 7. That's the original agenda. Those in favor, please. Okay, those opposed, please raise your hand. About half a dozen people opposed, but there's a wide majority of those in favor. I declare the motion to adopt the agenda as originally presented on page 7 approved and carried. Thank you. Next item is Resolution Committee.
So how we've dealt with the resolution committee in the past is each of the regions had appointed a person for their resolution committee. They typically meet with Mr. Antonello, the lawyer, the M&A bylaws lawyer. So if you've got people that you've got appointed from your region, Mr. Antonello, could you come up for a minute? Terry Antonello? Yeah, just want to get your attention. So we want to get the members, the resolution committee, to follow you wherever you're going. So could I have Region 1? We'll just start with Region 1, Region 2. So Jim, you have your resolution person.
Cheryl Gordon.
Cheryl Gordon. So Cheryl Gordon, if you could go hang out. Oh, you're right there beside Terry. There you go. Region 2.
Region 2 is Violet LaPratte.
Violet LaPratte. Violet? Right here. Region 3. You're Region 3?
Yes,
Oh, you just been appointed, have you? All right. All right, number 4, Region 4. Region 4, who's appointing the person to the resolution committee, if you would?
Hi, Alana Tyler, Region 4.
Okay, so your name is Alana?
Alana Tyler.
Alana Tyler?
Yes.
And you've been appointed to the resolution committee?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to accept that. I don't know what to say. Okay. Yeah. So Terry is over there. You guys are going to get some instructions from Terry as to how the resolutions will be managed and whatever we received for the last year. So if you would, where are you, Terry? Right in the back there. So Alana, if you could go there, you're probably not going to be in a meeting for a while. You're off to do resolutions. I'm not hearing what you're saying, but that's you're meeting with the Resolutions Committee. I seen your finger going around, so I'm guessing it's like, what? So, all right, so that part has been dealt with on our schedule. Terry, if you'll just lead forward wherever you're going to meet. Go ahead.
Brian, yes, Resolutions Committee, we've met, and we have the representative from Region 5.
Shane Combs, Region 5.
Shane?
Yeah.
So you guys have met, you have your resolutions?
Yes, we have.
You'll be dealing with them when the resolutions, portion of the resolutions comes forward.
Special resolutions, yes.
All right, thank you very much. Well, this is all good. All right.
Next item on the agenda is the appointment of Cree translator. And I would like to announce that Marlene Lerondelle has been appointed as Cree translator. Microphone 3.
Hi, my name is Carmela Mackey, and I'm the Resolution Committee member for Region 6.
Oh, very good, thank you. She's Region 6 on the priorities of the Resolutions Committee. Yeah, yeah. But what I'm told is there's already been an appointment, so it's just an announcement. Yeah. Next item will be the report of officers, and I would invite President Audrey Poitras. Are you here to present the President's report?
So we just learned that there's people in the deck back there that might want to ask some questions. I have no way, I am trying to keep track for Lionel who wants to speak. We just moved this thing aside so we could see the mic one. Okay, so they have a flag out there. So in case I stop for a second, ask Lionel to stop, there's going to be a flag out there. We'll see her. The flag lady is out there. Mike, that'll be mic 4. Okay, flag lady is mic 4.
So that's behind the post.
Mike, flag lady, could you be in front of this window so we can see you? Because otherwise, if you're hiding, we can't not acknowledge you.
Okay, thank you. Before we couldn't see you because you were behind a post. Okay, microphone 4. Yeah, now I can. Yeah, before I couldn't.
Hello?
Yeah, microphone 4, go ahead.
Just testing. All good.
Okay, there appearing not to be any questions. President Poitras, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon now. I think it's past morning. Veterans, elders, youth, fellow Métis citizens, and honored guests. Good morning, and again I'm going to say welcome to the Métis Nation's 95th Annual General Assembly. As President, I am honored to deliver my 27th report to citizens, highlighting achievements of provincial, regional, affiliate, and M&A staff, volunteers, and Métis citizens province-wide over this past year. Much more detail is provided in our annual report, as well as the other reports available. Work undertaken by this small army aligns with the M&A's enduring mission, which is to pursue the advancement of the socio-economic and cultural well-being of the Métis people of Alberta. An ethical and cultural driving force of our people is to do the best we can for the good of the whole community using whatever resources are available. That's the Métis way of doing things. For generation, the MNA's vision of a strong Métis nation embracing Métis rights continues to resonate through the achievements to support Métis citizens. Even though both of these statements were written by leaders decades ago, they remain relevant to this day and continue to be a guiding light that shines with the aspirations of the Métis people in Alberta. The MNA is the oldest and most enduring Métis government in Canada and has over 61,000 registered citizens, with more registering each year. While we have accomplished a great deal as a Métis government, more work remains to be done. Now let's talk about the work that has been done. If you recall, approximately 2 years ago, Canadians were shocked to hear of the discovery of more than 200 unmarked graves at a former residential school in BC. Since that day, many more unmarked graves have been identified, including here in Alberta. These awful findings and public backlash contributed to the Catholic Church acknowledging its genocidal wrongs against Indigenous people in Canada. Finally, what our people, our families, have been saying for generations. It was an honor for me to be asked and to be present when residential and day school survivors voiced to Pope Francis the trauma inflicted on Métis children by the people who ran those awful schools. Receiving an apology from the Pope was something survivors had been waiting to hear for years, for generations. For many, like Angie Crier, it was a dream come true. More recently, residential school survivors were able to hear Pope Francis apologize again and again for the Church's role in the government-sanctioned school during his recent pilgrimage of penitence to Canada, where he attended Lac Sainte Anne Pilgrimage, Sacred Heart Church, and Musqueam here in Alberta. At the end of his visit to Canada, Pope Francis condemned such actions as being nothing less than genocide. While I believe he spoke with sincerity, the unbelievable pain and suffering that remains goes far beyond apologies and words. For the MNA, we have continued to document stories from our survivors, continue to do research, collect and catalog photos, and created a second mural in addition to the one displayed here at Métis Crossing. We have attended healing gatherings hosted by Fort Chipewyan, by Region 6, and by Region 5. An advisory committee of residential school survivors was created to support our Truth and Reconciliation coordinator in her work. The committee has recommended a provincial healing gathering to take place this fall. I want to say thank you to the advisory committee, to Lorna Dancer and Marilyn Lise, who are all involved in this important work. Now about Métis National Council. In September 2021, Cassidy Caron emerged as the first woman elected to lead the Métis National Council as president. Her election started a new era of transparency and impartial leadership on trust and integrity, protecting our nation, our identity, our culture, and our families. Early in 2022, the new president explained that after a comprehensive review of MNC administrative, legal, and financial policies and processes, and after consulting with legal counsel, MNC decided to proceed with court action against President Chartrand, the Manitoba Métis Federation, Clem Chartier, the executive director, and a handful of contractors and their companies for breach of fiduciary duties and other unlawful conduct. As you may recall, part of this action was about the missing $300 million that was to compensate Métis veterans and create a veterans legacy. President Caron has recovered part of the veterans' money and has conducted meetings with veterans from each of the governing members of the MNC, who now have a plan to support veterans as was intended in 2019 when the agreement was signed. The court action is still continuing. I want to take this opportunity to thank President Caron for the amazing work she has done to bring credibility and recognition back to our national body. She was there beside us for the signing of our Métis self-government agreements and the introduction of the federal implementation legislation. With us at the Crown Métis Summit with the Prime Minister, there to support Métis Nation citizen John Morisseau when he received the Order of Canada. She hosted the grand opening of a new MNC office in Ottawa and celebrated the 40th anniversary of MNC. During National Indigenous Peoples Day, she worked closely with the leader of the Inuit to have an opening of the Indigenous Peoples space in Ottawa that has sat vacant for so long, and gave an amazing historical speech at the Back to the Batoche gravesite event just a month ago. Cassidy, thank you very, very much for all the work you have done in such a short time. Thank you. Finances, as you'll see when our treasurer and our auditor present the March 31st, 2023 audit, the M&A is in a very strong financial position again this year. I want to say thank you very much to our Senior Director, Aaron Varner, and his directors that push every envelope of dollars available to make sure we help as many of our people as possible. Thank you. Housing. Métis Urban Housing has been providing affordable, adequate, and safe housing options for Indigenous people throughout Alberta for over 40 years. The activity this year in Peace River, in partnership with Region 6, MUHC is building a 3-story, 11-suite apartment building that will offer affordable housing to M&A citizens in that community to be open for occupancy in early 2025. Thank you. Griesba in Edmonton. Métis Capital Housing has received a federal land initiative grant for an affordable housing project in Griesba and is now ready to build. The development will comprise 127 affordable units for low-income Indigenous families, focusing on women and children, to be completed in 2025. Since opening the doors of the first family reunification project in 2013, 58 families have been successfully through the program. This program focuses on reuniting mothers, fathers, and their children by providing long-term housing with support services. Phase 2 of the Family Reunification Program in Bonnyville, to assist 12 families at this point, was delayed due to drainage problems on the land, but it is now ready to begin the build. In this year, Métis Capital Housing has supported 117 families under the Home Repair Program, 111 families under the Down Payment Assistance Program, 456 families under the Rental Supplement Program, 96 students under the Student Rental Supplement Program. 10 Métis families were funded under our Mortgage Assistance Program, and over 100 homes of Métis Capital Housing were fully renovated this year. Under the Reaching Home, Canada's homeless strategy, emergency housing support was provided for 246 families. That's all in housing. Registry highlights our registry department remains committed to maintaining its integrity in identifying Métis in Alberta. The M&A received 7,519 applications and at this point have issued 7,000 of those. Education, training, and research. Métis Training to Employment. 1,313 clients in many different areas have been funded, many different careers. 949 are now employed, and 168 have returned to school. Post-secondary education, we have funded 1,009 students. Student services, 461 students were funded to help them stay in school. The Rupert's Land Institute Métis Student and Alumni Association, recently established, now has a membership of 5,772 citizens. And the apprenticeship program was created to connect first-year apprentices with employers, and 34 businesses have now hired new students. On the Métis Education Foundation side, we hold an endowment portfolio with a market value of over $30 million, and we support 20 post-secondary institutions and 2 Métis Education internal endowments. Since its inception, close to $9 million has been awarded to over 2,500 Métis students, and this year alone, $901,850 was awarded to 216 Métis scholars. In the educational side, our Métis foundational knowledge theme courses that were developed by Rupert's Land continue to share the Métis story and help teachers develop their knowledge of the Métis Nation. Rupert's Land Institute now has funding for Michif language revitalization and preschool funding for Métis early learners, as well as tutoring services for grades K to 12. In the research side of Rupert's Land, research looking into current child protective services in Alberta, models of Indigenous child welfare around the world, and Métis kinship care for children. We've published a booklet, Reclaiming Our Children, Exercising Métis Child and Family Services Jurisdiction under Act C-92, and also with Métis Talks on that subject. We're researching and developing a Métis Health module geared towards healthcare providers, research partners, and service program providers that will end with a podcast. Under the Health, Children and Youth area, Métis Child and Family Service Society has been providing service and programming for 38 years, now delivering 8 culturally focused programs to the Indigenous community in Edmonton and the surrounding area. These past 3 decades have been a struggle to see that Métis children and families are respected and treated safely and without control by those who do not understand Métis culture, customs, or our community way of life. Canada has confirmed the status of the Métis Nation of Alberta as the Indigenous governing body for Métis children in Alberta under Bill C-92, an act respecting the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children, youth, and families. We created a phased approach to pursuing jurisdictional control under Act C-92. Number 1, there was the developing a research booklet with up-to-date information related to C-92, and that information was shared. Number 2, a Child and Family Services Advisory Committee was established to develop a plan for an M&A Children's Authority. Number 3, draft models of care have been created that focus on healthy families, connecting to culture, language, and community. Number 4, citizen engagement, taking the model out to the community for feedback and other considerations. That is the phase we are currently in. Our Children's Service Department and an advisory committee have been on the road a couple of times around the province doing engagements. Next will be community approval, will be the next step. And number 5, finally, implementation and delivery of children's service using our own model for caring for our children. We're finally going to get there. Thank you. Within the department, the Métis Family Resource Program assisted 81 families involved with children's services to ensure they had support and some cultural connections. We also identified 45 children in care across the province that were not earlier identified as Métis. We provided Métis cultural awareness training to 71 Alberta Children's Services staff. Our Gear Up for School program is extremely successful, and we provided supplies for 3,000 school children last year across all the M&A regions. We have a Young Readers program. 3 years ago, the M&A partnered with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to promote and inspire a love of reading among children. Métis children receive free books delivered to their home monthly until their 5th birthday. Currently, we have 1,453 children throughout Alberta that are enrolled in the program. In addition, many family camps were organized again this year. Frosty Reels Family Camp saw 30 families gathered, and the Connecting Through Culture Family Retreat was attended by 50 families. These events were to immerse our children in the Métis way of life through facilitated culture experiences, traditional cuisine, horse-drawn sleigh rides, ice skating, and snowshoeing. In the health area, the federal government has committed to building and passing distinction-based Indigenous health legislation. The M&A has been working with the governments of the Métis Nation and the Government of Canada to build upon this legislation and push to ensure that we are able to deliver the health services and also support our children's needs. We continue to move health legislation forward through technical tables with MNC and Indigenous Services Canada. The drafting of the bill and the anticipated introduction of that health legislation is between summer 2023 and winter 2024. Won't come soon enough for a lot of us, I believe. Our Department of Health has served Métis citizens through research, advocacy, and community health. Métis-specific health research in many areas still remains a priority. Cancer, maternal and child health, arthritis, diabetes, mental health, and racism in emergency departments. We continue to support Métis citizens to attend cancer-related appointments. This year, the program was used 175 times. The mental health portfolio supported over 300 participants to increase recognition of mental health concerns. 84 citizens were supported financially to access psychologist or counselor services. The M&A continues to provide free accommodations for citizens needing to travel to Edmonton for medical services not available in their home community. In the past year, 260 citizens accessed our short-term accommodations and 30 citizens accessed our long-term accommodations. Tobacco reduction. Quitcore is a free support program that helped 51 individuals this year to reduce or quit their tobacco use. The M&A has created a partnership with the University of Alberta School of Dentistry and assisted 130 people through the youth dental program and an additional 109 people through the adult emergency dental program. And now we are looking at a new initiative, Healing Waters, supporting well-being and support to overcome mental health and addictions is and should be a top priority for our nation. Last night, thank you. Last night, we honored Herb Belcourt with a fish fry for the support received from the Belcourt Brasso Foundation in the purchasing of this land. Herb was also a strong advocate for the well-being of Métis people. The M&A, his vision of Healing Waters will become a reality. The M&A is currently working to build infrastructure on our own land, across the road, at Métis Crossing, that supports a recovery center for our people. We are expecting to announce the signing of a memorandum of understanding in the coming week. This is incredibly exciting and will be the first Métis Recovery Center in the province of Alberta. You can expect to hear more in the coming year, as it is our goal to break ground on this initiative as soon as possible. Thank you. Youth. The Department of Youth has been actively addressing the unique needs and challenges Métis youth face within Alberta. The Youth Council, youth coordinators, and our youth department worked very hard to access a major infrastructure grant of $1.6 million to purchase and renovate a building to be used as a youth programming center. The youth staff have moved into the building and will, in the near future, have a space for youth to drop in and get involved. They did it all by themselves. They found a place. They did their proposal. They got accepted. They actually worked with carpenters and everything else to renovate it. I am so proud of our youth team. Also on youth, the 5th annual Alberta Métis Fest in June, right here at Métis Crossing, was hosted by our youth. This popular event showcased talent through the jigging competition, as well as Canada's Got Talent performers, a fashion show, and a play based on the M&A's True Canadian Book. And of course, we continued with our 7th annual Youth and Seniors Gathering with the goal of developing intergenerational connections with Métis seniors, elders, and youth. Our event is always filled to capacity of 400 citizens. The Youth Leadership Conference centered primarily on youth in governance and how Métis youth can make positive change through various forms of leadership. They were inspired, as we will see, by the number of youth involved in our current election process. The department launched the Sport and Recreation Grant to provide Métis youth with opportunities to participate in sport and recreation activities by supporting them financially. This year, a total of 2,534 applications were supported for their chosen sport. The youth department has supported many athletes in the Alberta Indigenous Games in also many different areas. And during Native Hockey Provincials, the M&A had 8 teams competing in 2023. I want to say a great big thank you to all the coaches, the managers, the volunteers, the parents, and our youth staff with all the support that they gave to make those happen. Thank you very much. Alberta Métis Works, the improved Métis business directory that was launched in the spring of 2019, now has 257 Métis businesses registered. As per the resolution of the 2018 Annual Assembly directing the M&A to support the Trans Mountain Pipeline and seek means for the M&A to be a participating partner in the ownership initiative for Indigenous people. The M&A has signed up as a partner with the Western Indigenous Peoples Group. The partnership includes several First Nations bands, Métis Nation BC, and the Métis Nation of Alberta. It appears we are moving closer to the decision being made on the ownership, as indicated by a letter just recently received from the Government of Canada Finance. This could be a huge benefit in resources for our new government. Environment. The Environment and Climate Change Department works in various areas and disciplines to address environmental concerns and promote sustainability by engaging over 3,500 citizens this year. To date, they've completed 37 solar retrofits of M&A and affiliated owned businesses and residential units across the province, and has seen emission reductions of 34.5% at the M&A Delia Gray building and 9.9% at the Larry DeMills housing building, just as an example. They continue to investigate and monitor citizens' environmental concerns around the ASCII initiative that includes community members, elders, and youth from each of our region. They do plant walks and monitoring, fish health projects, migratory birds. The Environmental Conservative Initiative aims to protect lands, water, air, for Métis citizens that Métis citizens rely on to practice their culture and their traditions. After securing funding and having engagement sessions with citizens, a memorandum of understanding was signed with the Native Conservatory of Canada to advance Indigenous-led conservation in Alberta, and a 158 parcel of tame native grasses and wetland habitat was secured to establish the first M&A-led Indigenous protected and conserved area. Also in the environment area, the M&A team have created emergency preparedness kit packages that were provided to 500 citizens in need. And Métis Crossing. The Métis Crossing Solar Project is an M&A-owned community generation solar project located here. It is a collaboration between the M&A, the town of Smoky Lake, and the Smoky Lake County. ATCO was selected as the partner to construct the solar project with a commitment to hire and support Métis and local community subcontractors. Once complete, the 4.8 megawatt solar facility is expected to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 4,700 tons of carbon dioxide, equivalent per year comparable to powering 1,200 Alberta homes. The target completion date, as some of you may have heard yesterday, is late 2023. On September 25th, 2022, Métis Crossing celebrated the grand opening of both this building and the lodge. This has allowed Métis Crossing to become a year-round tourist destination. It was designed by a Métis architect, Tiffany Shaw of Reimagine Architecture. The building shares the warmth of the Métis home, accented with contemporary features such as a 2-story fireplace and wood accent walls. Each bed is covered by a handmade quilt sewn by a member of our own New Dawn Métis Women's Society. Cultural experiences have also increased. Guests can now spend the night at the lodge and enjoy a nighttime program called Whispers from the Stars. This evening experience walks guests through how Métis people used the night skies while they lived on the land, how the skies would help us tell time, choose directions to move across the land, and warn us of changing seasons. Seeing this from our newly opened sky watching domes will be amazing. I haven't had that experience yet, where our guests will sleep under the skies. Half of the domes have transparent roofs facing the southern skies to enjoy the constellations, while the other half have a viewing of the northern skies and the aurora borealis. The Wildlife Park Tour takes guests through the new visions, hopes, and dreams at Métis Crossing. The herds of wood bison, plain bison, rare white bison, percheron horses, and elk were released onto our new 300-acre Métis Crossing Wildlife Park. This 1.5-hour experience welcomes guests into a private tour vehicle that enters the paddocks and brings them close to the majestic animals so fundamental to the growth of our nation. Stories of the buffalo camp and of our buffalo hunts are shared while on the trip. An indoor vertical garden is also new, designed and built to provide space to grow fresh vegetables and greens year-round. It has a small boardroom right within it that will be very popular as well. And I want to do a big shout out on this to our staff at the M&A. They saw something advertised that they thought they could apply for to have a garden. And they did it all, just like the youth. They did it all. They got the program designed. They brought it out to Métis Crossing, and the Métis Crossing board embraced it and said, yes, let's make it work. Our existing signature experience, such as Paddle into the Past, Through the Eyes of the Hunter, they are still very popular ones. Now to Apitagosan. In the last fiscal year, API approved $5.3 million in funding assistance to new and existing businesses. The project developed touched all sectors of the community. 178 applications requesting assistance, comprising $16.3 million. During the 2021-22 fiscal year, Pinnacle Business Services assisted in, oh, sorry, that was supposed to be 22-23 fiscal year. I messed up. Pinnacle Business Services assisted in the development of over 50 business plans for clients that help leverage commercial financing of $5.2 million. Pinnacle Business Services also provided aftercare to their clients. Another exciting new one was the Métis Women in Micro Business Program. It has taken off brilliantly since its inception in April of 2022. The program, a partnership with the Rupert's Land Institute, targets small business endeavors whose maximum project size will not exceed $25,000. Métis women access these programs amounting to $1.1 million. And every year I have been president, I have spoken to the AGA to provide an update on our fight for recognition of the rights of Alberta Métis. Over the years, we have had setbacks and successes, but this year, without question, is the most exciting update I have ever had the privilege to deliver. Let me start with the Otipemisiwak Métis Government Constitution. A constitution was the missing piece in our centuries-long struggle to solidify our self-government. It is the vehicle we will use to get out of the Societies Act and be recognized by Canada and Alberta for what we truly are, the government of the Métis Nation within Alberta. Last November, we conducted the largest ratification vote for an Indigenous constitution in Canadian history. We undertook an extensive public awareness campaign. We enabled citizens to vote by mail, online, or in person. We told you, our citizens, that we needed your help. We needed you to lend us your voice and vote. You definitely answered that call. The response was overwhelming. A total of 15,729 citizens cast their ballots. 15,241 voted yes to adopting the Otipemisiwak Métis Government Constitution. That is nearly 97% of those people who chose to vote. This May, we held a special assembly to amend the MNA's bylaws to enable the Otipemisiwak Métis Government Constitution to come into force this September with our general elections. That resolution passed with 98%. Our Constitution gives us the tools we need to operate a government for the Métis citizens and communities in Alberta for generations to come. Our Constitution asserts our collective rights and protects the individual rights of our citizens. Our Constitution entrenches the role of the annual assembly, which will become the citizens' gathering as a forum to ensure accountability. Our Constitution transforms the provincial council into a citizens' council with the power to make laws for the good governance of the Métis Nation within Alberta. Our Constitution calls for strong district councils with a clear mandate to protect Métis rights and interests, including by conducting consultations with the Crown and industry. Our Constitution guarantees a judicial branch with the power to interpret our laws and resolve our disputes. I want to thank all of the Métis Nation citizens who took the time out of their busy schedules to vote. With your help, we reached a historic milestone. With our Constitution, we have given ourselves the power to govern ourselves, to truly be Otipemisiwak. This February, we passed another milestone. We signed an updated self-government agreement with Canada, the Métis Nation within Alberta Government Recognition and Self-Government Implementation Agreement. This agreement builds and improves on our 2019 self-government agreement in a number of ways. This agreement is legally binding. This will let us hold Canada's feet to the fire if the government changes or if they try to walk away from the table. The agreement explicitly acknowledges that the MNA is already a Métis government, that our self-government is an expression of our inherent rights as an Indigenous people, and that it does not depend on recognition by Canada, by Alberta, or anyone else. The agreement acknowledges that the MNA already has the power to make laws about core governance matters, such as citizenship, elections, and administration. Making Métis laws is an expression of our inherent right to self-government. The agreement also acknowledges that the MNA is an Indigenous governing body, which means we have the power to make laws about Métis child and family services in Alberta. The agreement ensures that our ultimate self-government agreement with Canada will be constitutionally protected. This is what we have always wanted. It gives me goosebumps to think we are so close to making the old Métis dream of constitutional protection for our self-government a reality. To make this dream a reality, the agreement committed Canada to introducing federal legislation, and Canada made good on that commitment. On June 21st, National Indigenous Peoples Day, the Government of Canada introduced Bill C-53, the recognition of certain Métis governments in Alberta, Ontario, and Saskatchewan, Métis Self-Government Act. The bill delivers on commitments made in our updated self-government agreement. Importantly, the bill will give effect to an eventual self-government treaty with Canada. It will be the tool that not only gets us out of the Societies Act, but that recognizes our government in the Canadian Constitution. But the bill also offers something more immediate: recognition. The bill recognizes, as a matter of federal law, that the Métis Nation within Alberta holds the right to self-determination, including the inherent right of self-government recognized and affirmed by Section 35 of the Constitution Act. I know for a lot of people in this room, they've heard their people talk about that for a long, long time. The bill will recognize, as a matter of federal law, that the MNA is that Indigenous governing body authorized to act on behalf of the Métis Nation within Alberta. I know I've always said that if we could just get the recognition right, true reconciliation will follow. Well, I believe we have never been closer to getting that recognition right than we are right now. When I sat in the gallery of the House of Commons the day Bill C-53 was introduced, I thought of Louis Riel and the dreams he passed on to every Métis person. History books always focused on the battles, but Louis Riel always tried to work with and through the governments first. He petitioned the governments. He drafted bills, including a Bill of Rights. He was the founder of Manitoba as a province and played an important role in Confederation. He was elected as a member of Parliament by his people 3 times, and yet he was never permitted to take his rightful seat in the House of Commons. All my life, I've heard about Louis Riel's vision and the dreams of generations of Métis to have our inherent right of self-government recognized by Canada. And Riel taught us never to give up. And now look where we are. There is still a lot of work to do. We need Bill 53 to be adopted. We need to transition the MNA into the Otipemisiwak government. We need to transition the locals and the regions to district councils. We need to finish negotiating a self-government treaty with Canada. But I know we will get there. I know we will, because we never give up. So together, I believe we have achieved so many successes that place our nation on the precipice of self-government and self-determination. I believe several years of struggle have brought us to this moment in history. And I want all of you to thank you for being present, to take part as the Métis Nation of Alberta moves even closer to achieving what our ancestors envisioned and died for: the right to govern ourselves, the people who own themselves. I know we can get there, so keep pushing. Thank you.
Thank you, President Poitras.
Okay.
Can we have a motion to adopt President Poitras' President's report? Mike 1.
Brian Hamlin, Region 3. I move we accept the President's report.
Do we have a seconder?
Karen Collins, Region 2. I'm support.
Can, those in favor of adopting the President's report, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, President Poitras. Would you like to Perhaps this might be a good time for someone to move that we have a break for lunch. Now, before we do, please stay in your seats for lunch. Your meal will be brought to you. And I'm going to suggest that given the late start of the meeting and that we have still quite a lot of business to do, that perhaps we just have about 35 minutes for lunch. Mike 3?
I make a motion that we break for lunch.
Do you have a seconder for that motion?
Pat Aker, Region 3.
We have a seconder. Those in favor of having a break for lunch? Those opposed? No, we do. We have one, yeah. Okay, motion carried. I'm going to suggest that we start back at 1:30 because we have a lot of business. But stay in your seats or lunch will be brought to you. Thank you.